Hi, my name's Carlie. Welcome. I'm also known as She's Becoming Bookish on multiple other platforms. I have taken the leap. I've taken a leap of faith that I'm gonna come into this space and find my folks. I decided to take the plunge into BookTube. This is my very first video, and while I am not new to being on camera, I am new to BookTube. So this is a very different format. I do want to take some time to introduce myself and tell you a little bit about who I am and what I do in my spaces. So again, my name is Carlie. I am a 44-year-old, unmarried, but coupled dog and cat mom. I live in Los Angeles. I have been in the bookish space since March of 2021. Let me tell you that story. In November of 2020, I transitioned to work from home, and I suddenly found myself with like all this time after I'd done my work, cleaned my house, cooked my meal, worked out, walked the dog. I still had a ton of time. So I decided January of 2021 that I was going to try and get back into reading. Historically, I've always loved fiction. After grad school, I kind of fell out of love with fiction and really was diving into a bunch of nonfiction clinical books that were trying to help me, professionally. When I did read a fiction book during that period of time, it was often a reread, something that I felt very comfy and cozy with, and that I didn't have to think too hard about it because I was thinking real hard about all the professional things. Flash forward, it's January 2021. I create a Libby account and check out a bunch of books on my phone because I didn't even have a Kindle at that time. I think I had a little old school Fire tablet, and I tried to read on that and it was ugh. I devoured 2 books in one weekend. Those books were The Tattooist of Auschwitz and 28 Summers. Little did I know that it would lead me down the path of diving into Bookstagram and stalking people for several months before finally getting just the gumption up to post on books, to create a Bookstagram account and to post. Having said that, historically, I have had multiple blogs and I've had social media presence related to those blogs in the past. One of which was fairly, I like to think it was successful. My blog didn't make me a bunch of money, but it brought me a bunch of joy, and I had quite a few followers for that travel account. That is no longer, it ceases to exist. Bye. And it wasn't long after I created the Bookstagram account that I the wheels on the bus started turning, and I was like, okay, miss blogging. I love blogging so much. I miss having a newsletter. I miss having that community. And it wasn't long after, I think I made it to November before I decided I need a blog. Flash forward, I think January 2022 or early 2022, I decided, let me get on TikTok. What's this about? At that point, had no experience being on camera. But I will tell you this, in my professional life and in my personal life, I am the class clown. I will get up, I will MC an event, I will speak to a huge crowd. I will totally embarrass myself for the sake of everybody else having a good time. Eventually, I kind of figured out that, I basically just need to do the same thing that I do in my personal life. Have fun with it. And once I figured that out, TikTok really took off. During this whole time, I have niched down. And what I mean by that is I primarily talk about one genre, and one genre not only, but primarily. I am a historical fiction girly. It started for me when I was 10 years old and read my first Mandy book. I don't know if anyone else has ever read a Mandy book, but they were like the adventures of a young Christian girl in prairie pioneer time. And every single book had a mystery to solve. She had a kitten named Snowball, and how I still remember that, I have no idea, but I loved my Mandy books. My mother paid for a series, and what would happen is every few weeks I would get a new book, and I would legit stay up all night reading that book. I just loved that series so much. It was during our fundamental Christian period as a family. We're not going to talk about that, thanks. I loved historical fiction from word go. I like to think that I am well read. I've read quite a few classics. I do read thrillers. I read horror books. I also read the occasional romance, but my heart beats for historical fiction. All eras, all genres. I have some personal favorites, and we're going to talk about my favorite books. I just want to set the record straight. That's pretty much what I talk about. And I like to let people know that up front, even though I do occasionally talk about other books. That is my wheelhouse. I've found it very difficult on Bookstagram to connect with the community of historical fiction readers there. Not been the case on TikTok. I've found my people. That leads me to my next prompt, I guess. What can you expect here? You can expect me coming on, doing what I'm doing right now, talking to you guys primarily about books, less about me. I think this space, I'd like to focus more on long form lists of books that I love, categorizing certain type of genres or specific authors, kind of giving my take on those things, and really diving deeper into some of the books that I absolutely love. Really, really, really want this to be a jumping off point for my website. I also want to invite people, if you like what I have to say about books, or if you want to dive deeper into my catalog of content, that's the place to go do that. I also want to encourage people to sign up for my newsletter. Send a monthly newsletter. Again, I love to chat, and it's full of all sorts of weird things. Primarily book things, primarily historical fiction book things, but I like to think that it's fun. I like it. Who are my top authors? I'm trying to kind of do this newbie thing. Favorite authors, like off the top of my head, I know you're gonna expect me to say Kristen Hanna, which I do enjoy. Alex Harrow wrote one of my absolute favorite books. Other favorites, Heather Marshall. Gosh, who else? Oh, Ariel Lawhen. What? Oh, I have a list, duh. How did I get this? Okay, I got it. Ariel Lawhen, duh. Adrienne Young. Hester Fox. Who else? Martha Waters cracks me up every time. Jenny Bayliss, love. Sadika Johnson, Buzzy Jackson, Beezy Marsh, Diana Gabaldon, Philippa Gregory, oh my gosh, Heather Webb, Tasha Lester, Emily Henry, Amy Harmon, Monica Chenault Kilgore, there's somebody else that's missing here, Sylvia Moreno Garcia, what? I mean, just obviously Kate Quinn, how have I not talked about the Queen? And there are others. Oh, my girl, Noelle Salazar. I'm gonna have to dedicate a whole video to her. Heart you. So those are my favorite authors. Some of my all-time favorite books. Let's do that. Let's go with it. Books. I just did a heartfelt post when I thought TikTok was going away about my top books, and the legacy that I wanted to leave on that platform was that read what you love. I'm here for that, right? I love a certain type of book, and that's what I love to read. And if you don't love that kind of book, that's okay. Read what you love. That's feel. So anyway, I shared my top, I think it ends up being 6 books. My top 6 reading experiences. Are these the best books ever written? No, they're not. No. But these are my favorite reading experiences. They're in no particular order, however, there is a standout, and I'll get to that. Number 1 is Noelle Salazar's Angels of the Resistance. It's a World War II fiction. Yes, I'm basic. I love World War II fiction, but this one is different. This is pulse pounding. It is phenomenal. It is action-packed, and I love it. We'll read anything she writes because of that book. Number 2, What the Wind Knows by Amy Harmon. Oh gosh. It takes a lot to make me sob, right? I don't cry a lot in books. I'm gonna say I cried a lot in these books, but you know, maybe that's the underlying thing. I don't cry a lot in books, but all these books kind of made me cry. So anyway, the love story in that book is exquisite. I also learned so much about Irish history and culture and their Civil War, and it was just chef's kiss. Okay, number 3, Codename Helene, another World War II book. This one though, I've told everybody that is raving about the Frozen River. That was good. This is phenomenally better. And I've had people say, no, they don't compare. There's two different types of books, and yes, they are. I just love Nancy Wake, and I love that homegirl put that red lipstick on and parachuted out of a plane behind enemy lines in chapter 1. I mean, that is like my kind of book. If you want to know my kind of book, that's it. Number 4. This is not really historical fiction, though it kind of flashes back. It's a time slip novel. It's The Unmaking of June Farrow, which is phenomenal. And what I said in that video is that what I love about that book is Adrienne Young's ability to weave a narrative. This character is so confused about what's going on in her life, and you as a reader are so confused, and you're trying to figure it out. And the more you pull, the more it unravels into just this beautiful, chaotic piece of poetry. It's stunning. It's stunning. The book that absolutely made me sob the hardest, I mean, like hysterically, like snot, like, you know, the whole nine. The Once and Future Witches by Alex Harrow. I'm gonna try not to cry right now. What I said and what is true about this book is that it reminded me of my mother, who's now since passed, and it just reminded me what it was like to be her child. And it is phenomenally written. I mean, it is stunningly beautiful. Harrow's ability to kind of weave in folklore, songs, and little sayings and stories, hearing and listening to, and you know, hearing your mom in your ear, they're just woven into the fabric of this beautiful feminist story. And I highly, 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 highly recommend. I will tell everyone that book changed the way that my brain functions. And my all-time favorite book, all time, is Still Life by Sarah Winman. And there are just no words. It is a piece of literal poetry. It's so beautiful. If you love found family stories, if you love travel novels, if you love reading about the impact of war and what it can, you know, the lasting impact of war and the changes that it has on people, oh my God, you've got to read it. You've got to read it. And I'll tell you this, it's slow, super slow. A lot of these are kind of slow, with the exception of Codename Helene and Angel of the Resistance. Those are like action-packed and fast. So let's go back to Still Life. It is slow, but it's supposed to be slow. It's teaching you how to slow down and savor not only that moment with the book, but that moment in life. That's like the whole vibe of this book, and it's so beautiful. When am I gonna show up? I'm gonna try and do one of these every week, as well as some shorts, and kind of see where it goes. I would highly encourage you, if you're new to my content and you want to dig deeper, I've got a ton of content for you to check out. I've got Bookstagram content, I've got BookTok content, I've got the book blog, and I would highly encourage you, if you like long form reviews or list posts of like the best of blah, 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 check that out. I'm gonna try and incorporate some of that here, so definitely stay tuned for that. What else? What do I like to do outside of reading? I do cook sometimes. I don't enjoy it as much as I used to. I'm from Louisiana, so I like making like food from back home, but I can't get the ingredients out here in Los Angeles, so. Love to travel. I don't do it near as much as I would like to. That's what happens when you get a dog and it costs as much money to have a sitter in your home with your dog as it does to rent an Airbnb in Paris. Yeah, because that's a fact. That is what literally happened 2 years ago, the last time I traveled abroad. So there's that. I love plants. House is full of plants. And I have recently gotten back on my yoga mat, and it's changing my life yet again. I used to practice all the time and kind of burn myself out. And then after my mother died, I kind of would dabble in it every once in a while. She was a yoga instructor, so it was kind of a way for me, like I was feeling connected to her, but I was doing it really in a standoffish way. And I recently ripped the band-aid off and said, you know what, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do it. And I signed up for ClassPass, and I went and explored different studios, and I finally found a studio that I absolutely love, and now I'm there 3 to 4 nights a week, and I love it so much. And it's made me feel so like connected to her again, and that's been really wonderful. It's so much fun, so much fun. introducing myself and getting you acclimated to what I do in this space. So it's been so much fun sharing with you, and I hope that you stick around for more. I hope you like and subscribe and keep coming back. Turn on that alarm so that you'll get alerts anytime I post content here. And again, if you haven't already, check out some of my other platforms. Sign up for my newsletter. That's where you're gonna get the bulk of my best content. That's what I do in that newsletter. I kind of cherry pick things that I know you're gonna love. And yeah, next time I'll be back with a little bit of a reading update. I'm super stoked about some of the new historical fiction that's coming out that is BIPOC authored. I've already started reading some of it. Is so good. I've also got a fun project that I've been working on for the blog, and I think I'm gonna incorporate that here onto YouTube as well. So welcome to my BookTube channel. I hope you stick around, like and subscribe, stick around and tune for more historical fiction bookish fun.